I don't care if you're sleepy. I'm sleepy too. We have an audience to entertain, and and we need to be on top of things from the moment that we tune in. In fact, I'm going to put on what used to be called attitude glasses, right? Oh my God, it's episode 49. I'm still Sean Patrick Sullivan. You're still Jen Frankel, one of my beloved co-hosts. And let's get right into it, because you, young lady, just came off of 2 weeks starring in The Fortune Teller at the Hamilton, Ontario, Canada Fringe Festival. I'm going to talk about the show before you do.
That sounds good. Okay.
So I want you to know that I saw it.
I did see you outside afterwards, so I assumed that either you had seen it or you'd come all that way just to pretend you had.
I saw it. And I only noticed one person in the entire theater with whom I'd previously participated in an orgy.
That's pretty good for you.
Only one. So, all right. So I loved the concept.
Okay.
I loved all of their performances were at very least passable. A few of them, most especially yourself, was transcendent. And what I thought was most interesting about it was that it actually didn't feel like a play.
You need to explain that.
It felt like the pilot to a sitcom.
That is a very astute observation, I think.
Why is that astute?
Not that I'm...
Why is that astute?
Prone to thinking you don't have astute observations. No, that's the way I felt about it too.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did anyone talk about that behind the scenes?
We didn't actually. We're getting together. The cast actually didn't have a chance to get together after the final performance. Well, we did for a little bit, just for a drink.
I'm going to adjust the camera. Keep talking.
Yeah, because I think I moved in since we set it up. Yeah.
You look good.
Okay. That's all that matters,
okay.
Of course.
That's all that matters is that we look good. By the way, I want to interrupt and say, well, I don't want to interrupt, but I'm going to. God damn it. I have to say these glasses go really well with the green screen that I'll be too lazy to do anything with. So I am, except for the glasses, totally accessory free. I usually come with a cornucopia of accessories.
So you're not even wearing a necklace today.
It's like I'm wearing this. I almost didn't wear underpants, but no I'm just giving Hamilton. I'm giving the Hamilton Public Library the stripped down, unplugged SPS.
Absolutely unvarnished.
Yes. All right, but please go ahead, because I love this play.
Yeah, so we're getting together tonight, so I'm kind of excited to see everybody again after it's all over. It's really funny when you do a play and it's so intense. And the joke is always that you'd finish a play and everybody's like, oh my God, I love you so much. I'm going to miss you so much. And then you never see each other until you actually work together again.
Did anyone hook up behind the scenes?
Out of the 4 of us? Yes. Not as far as I know. I didn't.
For someone? Who wrote the...
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Who wrote it?
So the author is one of the most interesting things about it. His name is David Lang Dawson. And he wrote one of the definitive books on borderline personality disorder. And one of his plays is actually, I'm not going to get the title right, but it's like My Name Is Something, and it's about I think it's about schizophrenia.
Did we meet him at that open mic that we went to? That was another psychiatrist
No,
remember?
Do you know what? I had the same thought. Okay. I had the same thought, wondering if that was actually the guy, but he was...
There were so many psychiatrists turned playwrights in Ontario.
Did I ever tell you about the last psychiatrist I had before my current psychiatrist that I really love?
No.
So the very first day I was in with this psychiatrist, he asked me something and it got me off on a tangent about Edward Bernays, the father of modern propaganda.
And Bernays sauce.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
It's even a different, you know what, it's even a different spelling.
Grandson, nephew.
Freud, yeah. Yes. And actually, the story is that he actually created a speaking tour for Freud, specifically so that Freud could endorse him as an expert. So, like, how modern cynical is that, right?
Yes.
So, and Bernays did stuff like he knew that men's smoking was on the decline, and the cigarette companies were upset. So he tapped into this previously untapped market of women smoking because it was considered disgusting, and so women. He actually hired a bunch of gorgeous New York socialites to spontaneously do a march in favor of cigarettes. And of course, like cigarette smoking for women took off. And Karl Rove was a big fan of his, and so was Goebbels, of course. And my psychiatrist was so enchanted by the idea of Bernays that he wrote a play for his over 50s playwriting group, and I launched my psychiatrist playwriting career.
Wow.
It was actually a freaking great play. It was called Dinner with Goebbels, and it was Goebbels, Karl Rove, and Bernays having dinner together to discuss Valerie Plame and the whole scandal that he initiated, that he tried to spin for George Bush. Yeah.
All right. Back to the fortune teller.
Yes, back to the fortune.
What's the word we use? It's not author.
The playwright.
The playwright.
Yes. David Lang Dawson. Yeah.
And
so very well-known psychiatrist.
And the director is
Ron Weiss.
Okay.
Who people might know from Artward in Toronto, and then Artward Art Bar in Hamilton.
I'm hoping no one who's watching this knows him, because I want an American audience, and I want to be the one who delivers to these American fans awareness of all of these new, exciting, and instantly legendary talents.
I love. Or the 60-year overnight sensation that is Ron.
Yes. So tell me, was the play well received?
Extremely.
Really?
Yeah.
And
we had all but one. I
said
good
that
review.
like it didn't deserve it. I'm so sorry.
we had one mediocre review, but that was fine. I'm one of those people who reads reviews if they're glowing, so I find out if it's a positive review and then I'll read it, because it's nice to get the little ego bump. But yes. I don't really have much interest in reviews because I kind of know what the work is. It's nice to know if the work succeeded the way you hoped it did. Doesn't succeed for a person, it's just as likely to be, if you know you did good work, yes, it's just as likely to be a matter of taste.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the costume
the
design was really good as well.
Cool. Yeah. I loved my outfit. It's
not typical for something that low budget to have costumes that conceptual.
We were really lucky.
Everyone looked like so the whole thing is, if you had taken was it 4 characters total or 5?
4.
So if you'd put the 4 characters on a runway, they would have looked like looks from a show.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I really love that. Anything you want to say about your costumes? Like, did you guys get to keep your costumes?
Everybody kind of wanted to.
Right.
Well, I think possibly the Amy Ryan, who played my niece, probably didn't want to keep hers, but she really loved wearing her costume.
Well, she doesn't like dressing like Madonna and
right?
It's like
classic era.
Her outfit was very early Madonna meets the Jetsons.
Perfect. I think we were describing it as early Madonna meets Cyndi Lauper. Yeah.
So can you, in a sentence or a paragraph, actually explain the plot?
Sure. Yeah. It's a fortune teller who's just about to get her first client of the day, who's a gentleman who's lost his wife and wants permission to date another woman.
Yes.
And into this mix comes her niece, who may or may not be pregnant by a older boy.
Yes. Now, are you going to be doing it again anywhere? Or I want you to go back and I want you to tell everyone that it should be recorded and it should be pitched somewhere as the pilot to a sitcom.
I will do that tonight, actually.
The thing is, most plays are very self-contained, but this can go to so many different places. Another thing that I liked about it is, although the plot was extremely contemporary, please don't be offended by this. On another level, nothing made any sense. People did things they wouldn't do in real life. There was a lot of information brought in. For example, the customers' wives that just got dropped.
Right.
But here's why I'm not saying.
No, it's actually. Oh yeah, you go ahead.
I'm not saying it's bad writing. It first of all feels like the Easter eggs that are dropped in a pilot.
Right.
But the other thing is, it felt like a movie from the 20s or 30s.
Like a Capra or something.
Yes, because there's all of this exposition that you don't really need, but then if you don't have it, the play doesn't make any sense.
I got to tell you this.
Yeah, you need it, but you don't.
That was my really bad Jimmy Stewart.
Yes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I don't mean that as an insult at all. I kind of, because...
But it had a beginning, middle, and an end.
Film and television is so limited now. It's so, I'm sorry, not limited. But it's so, let's keep it simple, because people are also checking their messages while they're watching, that you don't get those sort of curveballs anymore.
Right.
So I appreciated not only a live performance, because you know me, I'm very anti-live performance. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, I was very anti-live performance.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. But then I realized that we were all being subsumed into the matrix. So now I'm pro-live performance again. No, but I appreciated having to pay attention.
That's cool.
Which one does not need to do anymore.
No, that's true, because if you miss, you could really easily get confused if you missed a section of that.
Yeah, you go to the bathroom, you're gone.
Yeah, in an hour-long play, I would hope you'd.
Yes.
Tom Cruise movie, yes.
Yes, the theater was beautiful.
Isn't it a gorgeous space?
The theater was absolutely beautiful.
So lucky to have the Westdale, which is going to mean absolutely nothing to your American audience.
My vote for best performer.
Yeah.
The air conditioning.
Fair enough.
It was so hot that day. It was so hot that day.
We should have actually advertised our performance as a cool space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We probably would have done really well.
Have a sip of your organic water.
Oh yeah.
You know what? What I don't understand.
What the hell is organic water?
Yeah, like when is water not organic? I'm so confused.
It should not actually be organic. Like there should be nothing living in your water.
I don't know. I mean, organic certification. I don't really know.
Oh, blackberry hibiscus. So
Yes.
okay, so the blackberry hibiscus would have to be it's the organic flavoring that's organic,
We'll
not
see.
the water itself.
We'll see.
Well, that's
so
pleasant.
Can we talk about your mother?
My mother personally?
Yes.
Did you actually meet my mother?
Yes. You don't remember?
Oh yeah, no, I totally do now. Okay,
Oh
yes.
my God, I'm
yes.
so insulted.
No,
I'm so insulted that I'm going to put the camera closer to me. So yes.
Yeah. As soon as you get one of the camera stands that actually does your
This one
follow you for
does,
it. Oh, it
but I
does?
removed the mechanism because I'm convinced that all of these cheapo electronics from Amazon, that all of the data from every little remote control and whatnot is being sent to create a hologram of us in China.
So that they can replace us eventually, or
predict
just so they
you know what I mean.
So they can produce Sean Patrick Sullivan workers for
because I'm
for
so important that's what the Chinese government and military definitely want.
I believe it.
So, okay, the reason I want to talk about your mother is that your mother, who I'd never met before, the first thing out of her mouth was not hello. The first thing out of her mouth wasn't my daughter so fantastic. The first thing that came out of her mouth was the first thing that comes out of my mother's mouth.
Yeah.
So the first thing she said was, I don't remember the details, but it was something along the lines of like, Jen said something about me or mentioned. She said something about, she defended herself against something you had said about her. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
No, I don't, but it sounds very like my mother.
Okay, and
yeah.
my mother does that too. So my mother has not watched this podcast. And
so it could have been something like, well, I'm sure Jennifer told you that I'm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was it. That was
like
it.
Assuming that any random person that's a friend of mine has heard something. I think it was something about the mother in the play, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So is she going to watch this?
I'm not sure. She may.
So I have to be true to my art. Sorry, Jen's mom. We're going to talk about you. So the whole thing was, she didn't need to say that because it's obvious that it's a play.
Yes.
And that you were in character. Yes. And that the mother being referred to in the script was not her.
Yes.
Yet she said, she said something along the lines of, please don't believe those things you heard about me.
Yes.
And all of a sudden I had a very is this the 1950s where someone stops an actor who's playing a doctor on television?
And asks them for a proctology appointment. I
cannot believe it less than 100 years ago.
Yeah.
When people saw a television actor on the street,
yeah,
that they thought that they were their character. Why don't we talk about that? Because that didn't happen in the golden age of Hollywood. In the golden age of Hollywood, we knew that they were actors. So what was going on group psychologically that when we saw television actors, we thought that they were in documentaries?
That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Your mother was definitely in that mode.
Right. She said something. So I can't remember if she said something else to me along those lines, or if I'm remembering the thing that she said to you.
She said it to me. That's what I remember. Now, my mother I've talked to so many brilliant people on this podcast. We've talked about so many important topics, from bicameral mind, what's going on in Gaza, where art and technology are taking us.
Yes.
We have introduced the world to the thoughts and ideas of people like Justine Bateman, Sandra Bernhard, Madonna, Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, Julian Jaynes. And the first thing that my mother mentioned after having watched a few of my podcasts is, why did you say that about me? and she pinpointed this one particular thing that I had said criticizing me for it not being true. And the thing is, it was true. It was just that I had collapsed like 3 different incidents into one.
Right.
Now,
I thought you were going to tell me that you said something about mothers and, or you said something about Joan Crawford, and suddenly she thinks that you're talking about.
No, my mother, I don't think, would know who Joan Crawford was. But I didn't understand your mother's behavior.
Right.
Nor my mother's behavior. But then, because it's leaving Netflix Canada, I started rewatching Mad Men. And I never realized the extent to which my mom and maybe your mom, as young mothers, they're cut from the same cloth as the Betty Draper character.
Right, okay.
And the Betty Draper character is much more... So Betty Draper, as a character, was, on one hand, extremely sophisticated with lots of worldly experience. She went to university. She was an art history student. She had modeled. It was so funny because there's this one scene in season 1 where she puts on this outfit by this Italian designer. She was his muse.
Okay.
And it was strange. It was like a Versace outfit from 1953.
Wow.
It was, I don't know who made it. I don't know if it was an archival piece, but...
Like, was it of its time, or was it actually ahead of its time?
It was of its time, but it looked like Versace. So if it was a costume designer, they did a great job of like doing like the 50s and the 80s in that very... And the other, because the thing about Versace is I've been studying the flags of the various principalities within what would become Italy, because Italy is a very new country.
Right, yeah.
And it's these very bright colors. And the thing is, like when Versace reached its height in the 80s, when it came into public consciousness in a really huge way, the colors were considered so garish and so new. But that's really textile design from Italy in like the 1600s, 1500s. Right. And it's just really, really beautiful stuff. That's not what we're talking about, though. So what we're talking about is, so Betty Draper, someone who is so smart and so sensitive and has so much to offer, and also has so much to her benefit, but at the same time is so morally and ethically fixated on all of the wrong things.
Right.
All of the wrong things.
Interesting.
Now, I've seen Mad Men, I think 6 times in its totality. It's my favorite TV show of all time.
Oh, that's cool.
And I always really, really disliked Don and Betty. But this is the first time I've watched it since coming back from that interstitial period of temporary insanity that I went through, like the recreational drug use, the orgies, the jail time, all of that stuff that makes me so interesting. And now I have incredible compassion for them because I'm an amazing person, so sensitive, so compassionate,
of course,
so real, but also because that was just it really brought home to me the extent to which World War II traumatized the entire planet into a state of delusion.
Right. Okay.
So,
can you tell me what the nature of the? I think you're right, but what is?
First of all, I'm a huge fan of religion.
Right.
I think that it's important. I don't think you can understand art, history, any of the wars that we've been in without understanding religion, because it's like the operating system for various societies. But I will say, in the war between religion and secular humanism that kind of sprung out of Romanticism prior to the First World War,
right,
religion did not really do a good job of doubling down on what made it great.
Definitely. It just became very ultra conservative.
Yeah, which was not the correct response.
No.
Now, religion's
definitely not WWJD.
Yeah. So I'm happy to note that religion in Europe and the United States and in Canada seems to be making a comeback. But what I'm noticing about the current religious revival, aside from the fact that it's mostly men, which is strange because historically women have always been more religious than men. Well,
they've been religious, but I think a lot of that relates to probably something you're going to say about the Drapers. It just the idea that women are only have power in the fiefdom of the home in historical terms.
Well,
and part of keeping the family together is going to church.
Well, it's you and I probably, if we drill down deep into this, will have different views on, women, men, feminism, religion.
Yeah, probably. But we have similar observations.
Yeah, we do have similar observations. And
we may draw very different conclusions from those observations.
Reasons why, let me give you an example as to why women tend to be very involved in church.
Right.
In the early Christian era, when women of wealthy, when the husbands, okay, imagine a wealthy husband and wife.
Right.
In ancient Rome, prior to the Christian era, when the men died, the women were in legal limbo because it wasn't legal for women to take over their husbands' estates. It was early Christianity that fought for women to have the right to take over their husbands' estates and to sign contracts and whatnot without another man.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know if that came from a theological perspective or if that came from like, hey, this would be really great marketing, but it did happen.
Well, it's funny because people talk about Christianity being, being a monotheistic religion, not the first, but an important monotheistic religion. Being an egalitarian religion is talked about less. I think obviously that has not been the way that it turned out. I think they're working their way back towards that. But yeah, you're right, because women were highly respected in the early church and often on par with men.
So let's finish up this whole thing with the Drapers. When the Industrial Revolution happened, when Romanticism happened, if I was living in that time, I'd have to be very smart, very detached, and very knowledgeable about the history of ideas to understand the trouble that myself and my society might get into from diving in too deep with too much affection for all of these baubles and conveniences. And in the early 20th century, you had all of these mystical movements and these esoteric movements.
Right.
But religions, the major religions seemed quite ossified. And so I believe that after World War II, just as a result of the carnage, the social upheavals, a lot of people, as Nietzsche had predicted, they lost their faith in God. They gave up on it. Obviously, the world is so technologically advanced, we must know everything about the universe. Yeah. I forgot where I was going with that.
With Betty Draper and why she was the way she was.
Well,
and women's place in religion.
Well, let's just put it this way. It became very obvious from the first season of Mad Men, which I do think was quite insightful because what Mad Men reveals Mad Men is very theatrical. It's not like every single person at every single advertising agency behaved like that. But at the same time, what's wonderful about Mad Men is it's not as if things like that didn't happen to people.
Yeah.
It's not as if it just condensed
put all of the things that could have happened in one
because
place.
It condensed all the mentality. And
very much like the play like the way you're talking about the play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very like the play so your play brings together three very distinct styles. It was like 90s sitcom.
Right.
Like Three's Hollywood and like Three's Company farce almost.
That's exactly the way I think about it too. The director, Ron, had us rehearse in a way that was pushing us towards clown, actually pushing us towards that kind of performance so that
because it seemed that the one thing you didn't want was realism. Yeah.
We wanted real relationships, but in a very heightened setting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I personally prefer because I have a real problem with reality. My life, my career, it's not about surrendering to reality. It's kind of like, okay, well, this might be how it is right now, but I have my own reality mind and I'm going to create it, damn it. So here you go, people. I want to stop talking about Mad Men because I could truly talk about it forever. So let me do something I never do on an episode. Oh, you know what? I called it the podcast. I've renamed it the talk show.
Oh. Okay.
Because as you already know, but some people out there might not know. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back in September, I'm so excited to report that exclusive to Spotify, we will have an audio-only program called the SPS Podcast.
Oh, that's
This
cool.
show right here on YouTube is now the SPS Talk Show. And my beloved co-hosts, people like Gen X right here, people like the one and only Randy Hughes, Dr. Dahlia, Rev Doug, Caleb the Tall, they're my friends, so they'll be coming on to the Spotify show with me. This show here on YouTube will be one-off guests. We're hoping to have scholars, restaurateurs,
cool.
The occasional sex trafficker, keep it fresh, keep it lively. And we've already done a pilot, but we're going to be doing the SPS live stream on Rumble. That's amazing. So I'm going to do something I've never done on any of these programs, real or imagined, which did the lights just get brighter or am I having a stroke?
I think you're having a stroke, but I will watch
carefully. Do you ever
carefully.
have that experience where like you have this perception that lights have gotten brighter, but no one else in the room feels it?
I've experienced that.
Do you think that's a psychic thing?
That's interesting, especially in light of the play.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Anyway, what I'm going to do that I never did before is say, so what would you like to talk about next? What's interesting to you this week, Gen X?
Well, no, it's funny because you're talking about psychic phenomenon, and I dropped off a bunch of the set pieces that I was taking home from the show
Right.
at the director's house.
Okay.
And he's got a beautiful old, like, gorgeous, like, near mansion.
You know what? I figured.
It's just really one of the nice Stratford homes. And it's just happens to be one that's where nobody has gutted it and painted it white like they do in this town. So it's got the original wainscoting and all this like really cool wood, and the wood's still all the original colors. There's like, you'd love it. There's parquet floor that's actually built in a spiral,
What?
which I'd never seen before.
Are you serious?
Gorgeous. Yeah, the entire
How do
floor.
you even do that?
So it starts with a little block of wood in the center, and then it
Okay.
just spirals out from there. Amazing. But we're in this house,
Okay.
and my brain starts thinking. I've just been talking about another friend's house that lived in Stratford, and his house had been the stopping point for thousands and thousands of children who'd been orphaned in World War One.
Okay.
So place has got to be haunted as fuck. I can swear on the podcast.
I mean,
Yes,
it's
on the
not
talk
preferred, but if it's there, I'm not bleeping it out.
Okay.
Mostly because I don't know how.
Okay. So I never actually experienced anything in this house, but so I'm thinking this. I'm thinking about this house that I used to house sit in,
Right.
in Stratford, and I'm hearing.
Oh, I didn't realize you'd known each other for that long.
No. I was just thinking about this when I was in this director's house.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm thinking about how I'd never had any psychic experiences, and I'm playing a psychic in the show, and then I start to hear these noises, and I'm thinking, like, is anyone else hearing these noises? Because I've been hearing noises in my own house and trying to figure out if they were coming from outside. And because despite the fact that I love writing supernatural stories, I don't really have supernatural experiences.
Well, maybe that's why you write the stories.
Well, it's easier to do that if you're not actively experiencing things. I think if you experience psychic phenomena, you'd probably be much less interested in writing horror stories.
Yes.
So I am standing in the room, and I'm hearing these noises, and I'm thinking, like, is this place haunted? Am I actually having an experience? Am I actually hearing something? And I'd totally forgotten that they had a guest staying with them, and she's just walking around upstairs, and it's got nothing to do with anything psychic. But it was kind of fun just having that moment of, am I actually experiencing something?
Are you going to bother explaining the experience a bit more?
Well, no, it was just literally, I was just hearing creaks and something that sounded like a footfall.
A footfall?
Yeah. But it was...
A footfall or a football?
A footfall, like...
Oh, like steps.
Yeah, like a steps.
Okay.
Yeah. Just my fancy writerly way of talking about...
Well, Jen, don't you think it's in your best interest to just decide that it was a psychic experience?
Well, see, and that's what I would have done like 40 years ago. I would have liked to just kind of decide that was my reality and go with it.
Yes.
And then I'd probably end up telling a story about it, or writing a story about it.
Yes.
And it's why it's interesting, actually, because you've got me thinking that maybe that's why I don't come up with as many stories as I used to. I'm just not willing to let my reality go when I have a twinge that reality could be something other than what I'm being fed.
Okay.
I don't just go with it.
Yes. So have you heard that idea that writing, every time one writes a story, it doesn't matter whether it's fictional or journalistic, that story somehow, somewhere in the universe is actually created?
No, I've never heard that, but that's really cool.
It's an idea that I'm struggling to understand. It's embedded deep within Judaism. Word is God, and word is creation, and words don't describe things but rather create them. You write a lot, and you write a lot. And so what I wonder is if your emergence into, okay, so I'm experiencing the lights being brighter again.
I just did when you talked about that. I just felt like they got brighter too. Okay, but we'll have to actually look back in the footage to see if there's anything.
It's that we're so luminous that the devices are just,
So we're like moons reflecting back the light.
But do you think that for someone like you, who has a complicated interior world that hasn't always worked to your advantage,
Definitely not.
that being so voluminous in terms of your productivity over time, because you're in a good place right now in terms of your career.
It's like William Shatner says when someone asked him when he knew he was famous, and he still is, I still haven't felt that yet.
Well, look, we're just going to take it from my perspective.
Only thing I feel simpatico with William Shatner on, by the way.
He's a difficult person.
I've heard that from
and
everybody.
A Canadian, much like Kim Cattrall.
Good point, yeah.
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
So many others. But let's talk about you. So what I'm wondering is, if in being so ambitious,
Just so you know, I have so many responses for this, so I'm really curious to know where your question, where your
before, okay, so why don't you just start giving? I don't even need to finish the question then.
Okay. Well, so I've actually been asked to be on a panel at this year's Fan Expo. So Fan Expo is the largest. I think after San Diego, it's the largest Comic-Con in North America.
So what places?
Well, I do. Of course, there's always like a huge vendor's room just full of merchandise. There's an artist alley where people who draw comics are, and then they have a lot of celebrities. It's usually, I mean, they'll do like a original Star Trek reunion, or they'll have people from current television shows and movies. But one of the things that I enjoy are the panels. Panels range anything from workshops on how to build cosplay costumes to a lot of the ones that I do, which are usually writers' panels. I didn't apply for anything this year. I don't know how I kind of slipped my mind.
I don't know. Maybe it's the 5,000 other projects you were working on.
Definitely. See, what I really need is a calendar that tells me when things are, when I need to start doing things, right. not when things happen, when I need to start planning for them. Like now I should have something in my calendar that says submit all your Christmas stories, because this is like already getting late in the year for Christmas stories to be bought. But yeah, so the panel I'm actually going to be doing is on the idea of us living in a generated reality. So we're going to be talking about, I'm sure we're going to talk about the singularity. We're going to talk about television shows and movies like Truman Show, where people are living in a reality that's not actually an artificial reality. Yeah. So I can't remember where we started with this.
Just keep going, and then I'll bring us back. I become very good as leader of conversations. You haven't seen it in this episode yet, but I'm sure it'll come soon.
Well, I know we're talking about words actually creating realities.
Yes.
So I had two immediate thoughts on that. One is that I have so many stories that until I actually put them down on paper, they take up a lot of residence in my mind, and actually I take up residence in them.
Now, when these stories come up for you, do you know what the stories are, or do they reveal themselves to you as you write?
It entirely depends. There's some where I feel like I used to write a lot from dream imagery.
Okay.
Or not dream imagery, dream stories. Yes. I would dream stories, and then I would try to find a way to make the story into something that made sense in the real world. And sometimes I have enormous logic holes in my plots because I'm actually following the dream plot, and I don't even realize that it doesn't work for somebody.
The unconscious is not the same grammar of the conscious.
Absolutely not.
So like there are things that you just don't need to know in the unconscious.
Absolutely. And there's also, I mean, any world that you're invited into that's a pretend world where you're being shown a television show or a movie or something like that, or even when you're reading a book, you don't know how many things are missing from that world. If you feel that you're safe in that world, you will put up with a lot of logic holes. There's some people who can't get past logic holes. I think that there are people who don't read a lot of fiction sometimes because it's too disturbing for them to not be able to understand something.
Can I interrupt you for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to tell you the most interesting thing. Marshall McLuhan,
the
Canadian media ecologist, who's famous for phrases like the medium is the message, the global village, etc. So he had this practice that I thought was so fascinating. When he was reading for pleasure, he read the entire book or article.
Right.
But when he was reading for the purpose of research, scholarship, etc., actually, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if I'm reversing it. So
that's interesting.
So for everyone out there, what I'm about to say, I don't know if what I'm about to say
could be backwards.
Pleasure read, but the fact that there's two different types of reading and that the reading is done differently is really what matters. So in order to train his intuition to a maximal extent,
right,
for the research reading, he would only read every other page.
That's very cool.
Because over time, you can't bring that many texts into your brain without learning how to fill in the blanks. And I thought that was the most brilliant thing ever.
That's really cool.
Yes.
I had something I wanted to say about that. Now I can't figure out what it was. I think it was just that I think you've nailed one of the reasons that despite the fact that I love writing, I don't want to be an editor. So that's always something people are saying, well, why don't you can write, so why don't you edit other people's work? Why don't you become an editor?
Well, because you don't.
Yeah, but also I can't bring that much text into my life without living in other people's worlds.
And who wants that?
It's just, I've got enough worlds to live in without
Yes.
living in somebody else's world.
Yes.
It's confusing enough to me because I have a lot of stories on the go at any one time.
Yes.
And until a story has reached a stage at which I can actually send it out and get it published, or where I can publish it myself, it takes up a lot of real estate.
Okay. Now, we're doing so many camera angles today. So now I have this big green space that if I knew how to work with green screen and post, I would put like thought balloons and stuff, but I don't know how to do that. We'll save it for season 2. Anyway,
I could have done it for you, except that I started using Final Cut 10 this week. Yeah. It's exactly... It's just the interface is so much like iMovie now, and I don't like iMovie, and I think it's just a terrible interface, and I really miss the old interface, and I want it back.
You don't use DaVinci Resolve?
It would cost me money.
No, it doesn't. DaVinci Resolve is free now.
Well, I'll have to take a look. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same.
The version with the AI, that you pay for.
Oh, okay.
But there's a version of it that's free for all platforms, including Linux.
I will have to take a look at that.
By the way, I'm loving my Linux laptop, which used to be a Windows laptop. Now it's
you have said.
Yes, it's fantastic. I want to talk about me for a moment.
That's all right.
So what I want to talk about is these adjustments that I'm making to my psychiatric drug regimen.
Oh, interesting.
Well,
okay.
Yes. You see, I'm incorporating so many nutritional supplements into my regimen due to my self-diagnosis of mitochondrial damage to the point of despair. You know, I just feel like my mitochondria are so damaged.
It's funny. When you talked about that last time, I've now been feeling like I'm fighting my mitochondria too.
Well, you don't have too much longer.
I just want those little bastards to wake up and do their freaking job.
Okay, so you know what? So I'm going to New York City tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll be gone for a week. I'm getting back just in time to have coffee with Rev Doug and then attend the open mic.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay, cool.
So I'm going to be in all sorts of states. But the message just came up like 10 minutes ago. So my mother just received a box from iherb.com with enough methylene blue to make 24-ounce bottles at 1% concentration. And methylene blue is that thing that RFK Jr. and all of these people, Rhonda Patrick, I think.
Right.
Lots of people.
Right.
Put in their water before a podcast because it energizes the mitochondria. It repairs the mitochondria. So you can experience, so as long as you're not taking anything serotogenic, we'll have to talk about that on camera. But, you know, but anyway, I do take 2 serotogenic drugs at night, not only for my anxiety, but also because they have this off-label indication. Well, it's not an indication if it's off-label, but they're used off-label for sleep apnea, and I don't want to wear the mask.
Right, right.
So I've been using these 2 serotogenic drugs, trazodone and buspirone, but I need to stop taking them because my desire to sleep without losing breath is less than my desire to be awake and alert. I know it's really messed up.
I understand that.
So
there's two ways you can approach being tired: getting better sleep or just being better when you're awake.
I'm trying to get better sleep, but okay. So here's the plan. The plan is that by this time next month,
right,
I have stopped taking bupropion and I will have replaced it with siloligine.
Okay.
And I will have stopped taking trazodone and buspirone. I will have replaced that with clonidine. And I will still be able to breathe without having apneic events because I will slim myself by 50 pounds. And the storing will instantly stop. And to further repair my mitochondrial damage, I will be putting methylene blue in every one of the many glasses of water that I have every day. And I might even add some Celtic sea salt to stave off adrenal fatigue. And I have added even more supplements into my regimen. I'm having a CoQ10 moment. I am having an L-carnitine tartrate moment. I am focusing on mitochondrial repair. I have gone back to doing what I used to call the homelessness diet, which is 1 meal a day, plus a grapefruit in the morning, plus a protein shake at night.
You're lucky, so none of your drugs interfere with grapefruit.
No, actually, one of my drugs does interact with the grapefruit, which works for me because my doctor won't give me the dosage that I want. So I have these psychiatric things going on, right? And twice on this show, you've talked about electroconvulsive therapy.
Right.
Now, off camera,
Now
it's
3
one of
times.
the. But did we talk about it in every episode?
No, 'cause this is our 4th episode.
Right. Okay.
So 3 out of 4.
3, not 2. I
Yeah.
thought we didn't talk about it in one of the episodes.
Oh, no, sorry, that's what I mean. Oh, I thought you meant that this was the 3rd.
No.
So,
Well, we've talked about it 2 or 3 times.
yes, we have talked
And I
about it.
have to say that when
The exact numbers
when people
we
come
know
up to
that
me
now.
having seen the episodes,
Right.
the electroconvulsive therapy is one of the things that people are most curious about, and one of the things
Cool.
that they ask is, do you know when you need to get a? Do you need to? Does your body or mind tell you that you need to go in and get a refresher? Is it something that's scheduled, like 3 sessions a year? How does that whole thing
It's
work?
not. It's interesting. This is a really good time to talk about this because this is actually what I'm struggling with right now. This is actually the
Like you
question.
feel
When you finish electroconvulsive therapy, at least in Hamilton, you're discharged from the program. Like that's it. And if you want to go back to get more electroconvulsive therapy, you don't go to them. You actually have to go to your doctor for another referral, which means that they're not tracking even how successful the only thing they give you
that's
is that.
the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
I kind of believe that is one of the stupider things that I've heard in my lifetime too. All they give you is the I can't remember what it's called. It's that crappy list of 10 questions that you score yourself on, and it's like
It's easier to get approved for assisted suicide, isn't it?
well, it's not that. It's just that
Yes, it is.
that particular questionnaire, I found it's absolutely irrelevant to my mood. The questions they ask, I don't think that you can tell from that if somebody's actually depressed
Because
or if somebody's getting better from depression.
psychiatry and social services are currently in this mode where they're obsessed with passive aggressively asking you questions to find out things that they think that they can determine from the answers that are not the answers they're actually looking for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, for example,
That's convoluted, but very well put.
like, for example, when I was in jail, I was given an appointment with a social worker focused on housing.
Right.
And there was this questionnaire that I had to do that was meant to assess how much trouble I might cause.
Okay.
So there were questions like, how many times have you been to the emergency room in the past 12 months? Do you have any street debt? And I was like, excuse me, what street debt? And they were like, how could you not know what street debt is in your position, in your situation?
I can guess, but I've got at least.
And I think
two
the question,
guesses,
and I think social work, the revolution in social work would be, hey, buddy, if we give you this apartment for $145 a month, you better not cause any trouble or we're going to kick you out because we have the legal exception and we don't need to give you a notice. That would be a little better.
I like that.
Instead of like, well, what's your past? Because the problem with social work, as I experienced it, is it's past-based. It believes like the tech bros who are like in charge of everything right now, despite their utter lack of religiosity, morality, vision, etc. Like their very, tech-focused way of thinking about things.
Yeah.
They really think that everything can be learned algorithmically. But what that means is that the systems that you're in, whether it be jail or a
Well, it means
homeless
that any
shelter,
discrete
it means that there's no
individual.
such thing as transformation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So how
When
about
it means that every discrete individual within the system is
doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a discrete
it's just an
individual,
average.
right?
Yeah.
So why am I telling this story? I don't know. I can't.
We're talking about passive aggressive questionnaires that don't
Yes.
give you any information.
So I have a question for you about the. So do you think that you're going to reach a point where you have to buy a TENS unit from Amazon and just put the electrodes on your brain and do it yourself? Because I've actually heard people on Reddit and whatnot saying like, well, what other choice do I have?
Have people done that?
Yes.
And how have they fared?
Some of them report pretty great results.
Because there's the two different kinds of ECT, and I'm going to get them backwards again. But there's the transcranial. There's one that's basically just frontal lobe, and there's one that's basically, and I think that's the transcranial because that's what that word means, like through the skull, through the cranium. And transcranial is administered via general anesthetic. Don't think I'm going to be putting myself under general anesthetic at home. It's whether or not the other form, the milder form of ECT, would actually make a difference.
I suppose what I'm suggesting is perhaps we could go in halvesies on a unit.
We could monitor each other. It's like spotters at the gym.
And we could create a third type of ECT and then bring it to the masses.
So it's ECT, extreme ECT, home. Yeah. Do you know when I heard about Extreme Makeover Home
By the way,
Edition?
I'm not making fun of the technology. It's a
No.
very important technology. I've never had it, but I really believe in it. And I am starting to, and because I'm so conspiratorial and so into like lost history and whatnot, there are little bits of evidence that people were electrocuted out of their funks in the ancient world. I'm just saying.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Lightning rods.
Yeah.
Weather vane.
No, I was going to say, did you know that? So I used to when I first heard about Extreme Makeover Home Edition.
Yes.
All I could
Are
think
we going
was
to talk about Extreme Makeover?
well, no, all I could think was like, fuck, man. Excuse me again. Are people doing cosmetic surgery at home?
Because the show started as
Extreme Makeover,
as a plastic surgery show.
So that was all. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe that.
Would you ever get plastic surgery?
I don't think so. I don't have tattoos either.
You know what's really interesting? Okay, so do you remember 30 years ago, people started making fun of plastic surgery?
Yeah.
And everyone became obsessed with things like Botox and fillers.
I kind of lump those into the plastic surgery. I mean, I know it's not.
I'm talking about surgeries
yeah.
versus lunchtime procedures.
Right. Okay.
But what happened was that when
Swatter is quite good.
When these injections were brought to market, I don't think that anyone foresaw the addictive nature,
right,
nor the extent to which making tiny changes. When one makes a tiny change, it's more obvious to beholders than to the person themselves.
Yeah.
And
Hello, lip fillers.
Yeah. So you ended up with all these really monstrous looking people. And as we can tell from recent plastic surgeries by Kris Jenner, Anne Hathaway, Madonna, we seem to be in this very interesting place where it's total reversal of 30 years.
An actual surgery where they're cutting into you is less noticeable than the fillers.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
what I'm saying is we're in a very strange place with surgery where surgery looks more natural than injections right now.
Well,
and I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
I like that. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because the high cost of the surgery produces a barrier to entry such that if you're making minimum wage and you have self-esteem issues and body or facial morphic disorder, you can't just run into a strip mall and get something injected to your face for $100. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
We were talking.
I would get plastic surgery.
I was actually talking with a friend of mine about how like teen girls and girls in their 20s are rushing to do Botox, fillers, everything like that.
It's insane.
And it's the same way that they would buy tree-torn sneakers in the 80s. Like it's.
Yep.
And it's this bizarre sheep mentality where they're told that something is beautiful, and because of that they go out and do it.
It's quite strange.
Yeah, but it's the idea that kids are actually working jobs not so that they can be independent, but so that they can
because why move out of your parents' house?
Yeah. Well, she was also saying, I mean, I definitely won't say who this is, but she was also saying that her daughter is the exciting thing for her daughter about getting a job was so that she can buy different packs on The Sims.
People still are into that.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, I've got friends in their 20s and 30s who work extra hours because they like to gamble, and that's more important than moving out of their parents' house.
Okay. Now, if someone held a gun to your head and said that you had to get plastic surgery, what would you get? Or shall I go first to give you an idea?
It's funny because the thing I would not touch is my face, my neck. And I knew a girl who actually had stomach, like a liposuction on her stomach, and got a bit of a new lease on life. So I don't really object. It's funny, like fiddling with your face is harder for me to see doing that than fiddling with any other part of my body.
Right.
Because I'm not really attached to the way my body is, but I'm very attached to how my face is.
Yeah, well, I can see that.
What about you? Yes,
So my face needs nothing. I mean, this is perfect.
I agree.
I might have this sucked out, but I've been hearing that double chins can be fixed with lymphatic drainage, so I might not need that. I would do only after a period of fasting would I do what I'm about to say, because I really do think that you should do everything that you can before you resort to surgery.
I feel the same way.
When I was homeless, I was 50 pounds lighter than I am now.
Right.
And my stomach was in a really bad, because all of my weight's in my stomach. I'm not really fat anywhere else. So my stomach looked horrible. So if I were to diet down and I still had all of that, I would definitely get because when I lost the weight, it was uneven. So I would get the unevenness fixed with lipo, and then I would get a really hardcore tummy tuck, like to the point where like I couldn't walk for, like I'd be like Joan in Mad Men, like not being able to sit because of how tight my midsection is. So I would get that done. And
so what do you think about something like
That's
bariatric surgery?
for myself or in general?
Just in general.
It really works for some people. But I don't really know if bariatric surgery is still a thing with all of these GLP-1 injections that are available.
I can tell you.
The thing that concerns me about GLP-1 for me is I think I would be one of those people who would break the bank by overeating. My cooking has improved recently, and I think that I might break the band.
That's funny.
It's interesting to me that it works, though. It's interesting to me that
I don't actually know as much about that surgery.
Well, apparently, you know what? I have explained the technicalities behind things so many times on this show and gotten it totally wrong that I'm not going to bother.
I will Google it after the show.
But let me ask you something. Why do you ask about bariatric surgery?
Well, because it's actually an option for me.
Do you think you need it?
Apparently, I am morbidly obese.
So am I.
Yeah, I know. No, I don't know that you are, but
according to the BMI.
And I'm not entirely certain that I want to buy into that.
How's your heart? How's your triglycerides? Like
just fine.
Everything. Is there
slightly elevated cholesterol, but I think I can take care of that.
Is there any possibility that reducing adiposity would improve mental health symptoms? Well, I'm really going in. Are these questions too personal?
No, that's fine. And honestly, that's the reason that I would consider it.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what if the same question was posed to me by my physician.
Right.
I can tell you what I would ask myself.
Yeah.
What I would say to myself is it possible that having accumulated all of this fat, that I'm not capable of, is it possible that I've ruined my metabolism so much that two things are now true?
Right.
The first thing is that without a major intervention like lipo, a GLP-1 injection, going on an inpatient 30-day fast, like something major,
right,
that I'll never be able to lose the weight because due to my own fault, not playing the victim card, but saying because of the things that I've eaten, the things that I didn't know about, that I am so damaged that I require a medical intervention. And the second question I'd ask myself is there an appropriate amount of data that that being in this metabolic state is actually the primary cause of the mental health symptoms that are ruining my life? Both questions, this is definitely the part that I'm clipping for a promo reel. And if the answer to both was yes, I would do anything that was offered to me.
I would add a third question. I would absolutely. And the third question would be, for me, can I tolerate the lifestyle changes that will be required of me afterwards in order to actually make sure that the surgery stayed working?
Like if you were to do GLP-1 injections, I actually don't think that those GLP-1 injections are safe unless you're willing to lift weights 3 days a week. It just seems to me like there's too much data that it turns your bones into jello without weight training, right?
See, and that's fair. I think that it seems to me that from what I've looked at, like what I've researched myself, the bariatric surgery is incredibly safe compared to so many other. It's done so routinely.
But are you a binge eater?
I'm not anymore, but I'm also able to maintain a weight. But if I stray from maintaining my weight, I gain weight really easily.
Now, did they explain to you how your eating has to change?
Absolutely.
Does that sound manageable to you, or is it like completely?
It does, but it sounds manageable because one of the factors that I've dealt with the depression is not having any. I don't have any signals for fullness or for hunger.
Really?
At all. So it would take me a day and a half.
So does that mean you don't crave food?
It's not that I don't crave food, but I don't feel hungry.
I've never seen you eat very much.
I don't really, but I don't.
Did you used to?
I used to be more of a binge eater. I've gained weight when I've been in relationships, which is another reason I don't go into relationships. I've gained weight during periods of extreme emotional distress, basically, and then never been able to take it off. So my metabolism is now such that the most I can do is maintain, and my depression stops me from being able to exercise effectively.
Oh, there's another possible explanation, which is controversial.
But the weight also stops
but
me
hold
from.
on. The other
Yeah.
explanation is that the metabolic state that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
as a result of genetics and past binge eating, causing a
Mm-hmm.
whole bunch of damage, is that, say what you said about exercise again. It's possible that your body in its current state is incapable of getting the desired benefit from exercise. So
yeah, well, the thing is that
do you know why I'm not lifting weights?
Yeah, why?
Because I finally got to a place in terms of both vanity and practicality where I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter that I don't enjoy this and that there isn't some like hot gay gym I can go. Because my ideal situation is going to a gym where
Right.
like, guys are wearing.
I'm meeting a lot of hot guys.
Well, there's like everyone's half naked, sweating all over each other. I'm the fattest and ugliest one there. And all of that shame makes me achieve. Like, that's my ideal scenario.
Right.
Since that doesn't exist, how can I put this? Actually, I'm going to turn the question to you. Of all of the modalities that are available to you, like let's say that like cost wasn't an issue and you could get lipo or you could be put inpatient to fast for 30 days or whatever. And let's say that on top of that, you were of the opinion, after doing a whole bunch of research, that there's really no difference between what's going on with you metabolically and psychiatrically.
Right.
Of all of the things that are available to you, what's the most attractive to you? Because I can tell you what would be most attractive to me. What would be most attractive to me would be hospitalized for 30 days, not being allowed to leave, and being forced to fast with an IV.
There's a certain amount of attraction in that to me, which may surprise me a little bit. But I feel like I'll take any edge I can get medically because I haven't been able to. If I could have lost weight on my own, I would have done it. The depression puts me in a position where my mind is exhausted.
Absolutely.
Before I can use it to exhaust my body. So I can't tell my body to work hard enough to actually get any benefit from exercise. So I'm really trapped in a corner where unless something changes, where either the depression is gone, and because of that, I walk more and exercise more and start to develop the ability to feel satiated or hungry so that I have normal cues. If I can't do that, then I'm not changing. There's nothing. It's kind of it's possibly counterintuitive, but one of the worst parts of my own particular mindset when it comes to my depression is that I don't have a low self-opinion.
I totally get that.
And this is a problem because if I had a low self-opinion, I could look at myself and like I look at myself in the mirror and I don't have any issues with what I see.
Yes.
So the main impetus for losing weight is not there.
Yeah, it has to be.
I have to think I'm
health.
Disgusting and want to be different.
No,
or I have to at least look at myself and think she's fat. She needs to lose weight.
No, I don't. Wait a minute. Let me see if I understand what you're saying. Are you saying that you think that you do need to think that way? Because I actually think that because I have a high opinion of myself as well. We're basically in the same boat because through our lives we've both had weight/eating things, and we've both had psychiatric things.
Yes.
And I think that culturally, in terms of what we know medically, culture's at a place, and because we're almost the same age, we're at a place that we're starting to get that the only healthy way to look at our lives, which we look at highly, like we both want great things for ourselves. Neither one of us are in a place of nothing good's ever going to happen to me.
No, definitely not.
We're both in the place where like the weight loss isn't worth it unless it produces a psychiatric benefit, and the psychiatric benefit isn't worth it unless it's going to make me live long enough to do everything I want to do. That's fair?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay,
definitely.
So this is a whole new way of talking about weight loss.
Well, I'm thinking more like I was thinking more narrowly, just in that if I had a low self-opinion in terms of how I look, there's an impetus to lose weight because I want to look differently.
Yeah, but you're lucky.
Because most people lose weight. I mean,
for most people, it's ugly.
Yeah.
But that's not us.
It's not us.
And
we can't pretend.
So would you lean most toward if I were you, I would lean most towards the band. And while knocked out, I'd also get a refresh of ECT.
That sounds good to me. Well, I don't know if you want to talk about that again, but
what?
But I'm in a position. So over the last month, I've been losing ground with my depression, and I'm now at the point where
You don't think it's the stress of the play?
It started. I don't think so because
it started right before rehearsals. I remember.
Yeah,
okay.
And it started when I was on a film shoot. I can't remember if I've done that, but the last time I was here, talking to you.
I think you were about to start.
Okay, so I had a really freaking great time working as a PA on an independent short film. So I did 4 days driving a monster truck, like
Right.
16-footer. I love driving big trucks. I cannot lie. But during that time, because I was hired on a Thursday to start work on a Friday, I actually ran out of my medication by the end of the weekend. So I had 3 or 4 days when I was rationing my medication or off it entirely.
If that ever happens to you again, you call me. I have an entire sea of things I no longer take.
I will definitely do that because I don't want to get to this position.
Go back to your
So I started to lose ground, even when back on my medication. So I don't know if it was the fact of being off the medication or the fact that I'm this far out from the ECT.
Right.
And actually do need a refresher course. I like that, a refresher course of electricity.
Or you could just stick your finger in the nearest socket.
Apparently I did that twice when I was a child.
Me too.
Yeah, twice?
Okay, once. Yeah, twice.
Yeah, I know.
Twice.
So my dad's a chemist. Like, he's a science teacher. So he used to introduce me as this child who stuck her finger in the light socket, liked it, and did it again. He hasn't talked about that for a long time. He's probably forgotten. I shouldn't have brought it up. Yeah, so I don't know. I've been talking to the psychiatrist that follows my medication. So he put me on I guess you call it like an add-on. So to the medication I normally take, I was taking a small amount of Abilify. And he thinks that maybe we can up the Abilify. I'm almost at the maximum dose of my main psychiatric medication.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you ask your psychiatrist? I don't know if I should ask this on camera.
Ask me after.
No, I'll say I figured out a way to say it that's perfectly polite. So I am coming back to Canada in 2 weeks with a lot of methylene blue.
Right.
Why don't you ask your psychiatrist if it would be safe for you to experiment with it?
Okay.
And if so, I'll give you a sample.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll take you for a really good espresso.
I won't.
But so anyway, the upshot of it is I'm not sure whether more ECT would be the solution to getting me back on track to where I need to be, because I'm very low energy right now, like to the extent that I can't remember if I was telling you, but I was actually reblocking myself during the play to sit more, because standing for the length of time, like the hour on stage, was actually very difficult. Yeah.
Are you into astrology?
Sure.
There's apparently something that's very historically unique going on right now that's also causing that. And I am into astrology.
I'm interested in anything that would help me.
Specifics, but
even something that would make me feel better about it.
I'm just going to suggest something.
Yeah. Because he thinks maybe vitamin D.
Do you take a supplement?
I used to take more. A naturopath
How much
I see.
Do you take?
There's a naturopath I see that actually took me down to 1,000 units a day.
I went down from 10,000 to 7,500, and now I'm down to 5,000.
I was taking 4,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel better?
I was doing better, but I don't know if because so many things change at the same time. We're trying to pick out which is the actual.
Do you do B12 injections?
No, but my B12 is fine.
Is it physiological or super physiological?
I do not know.
Okay, so I really shouldn't be saying any of this.
This is what this talk show is for, though. This talk show is for saying things we should not say.
I've been in your shoes, and what I've done is I've increased my B12 injections, which I self-administer.
Okay.
Because B12 because Canada is such a weird country, like nothing's legal here, but you can buy syringes and B12 over the counter, and you don't need anyone to administer it for you or anything like that.
Oh, wow.
And the B12 is like $4 a bottle. So recently I have, aside from everything that I've already said, I've increased my B12 shots. I have tried decreasing, and now I'm going to re-increase my vitamin D. And I suppose the takeaway is, if you feel this way and like you're at the age now where like you're fed up,
God damn,
and there's enough evidence that you can find or that you can ask other people for, that like there is this inextricable link between the metabolism and the psychiatry.
Yeah.
Whatever's financially and legally available to you that has the promise of fixing both, just do it.
Right.
Because you're at the age where you're having a lot of ideas, you're involved in lots of things. You produce a lot of
I need the energy. Yeah. I need to be able to do things.
And so the things like, if the methylene blue works for you and your psychiatrist is okay with it, hooray. If the B12 works, hooray. You might, whatever, but if there is something that you can afford that's available to you, you have too much art to produce to be bothered by this. And I think the healthiest way to think about what you and I are both going through. I mean, our conditions are really different, except that they're totally the same.
I was talking about this last night, the book I'm working on about depression, because everybody's depression is entirely different and totally the same.
Different. Because the debate that I'm having with my physician and my psychiatrist now is no one's certain that I'm bipolar anymore.
Right.
Because I don't get sad anymore. I don't feel hopeless, but I have these strange cyclical experiences of extreme fatigue that have nothing to do with what I'm eating.
Right.
They have nothing to do with what's going on in
when
my
you don't
life.
Change anything and everything changes, there's got to be something going on that we don't understand.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. So I don't have the stuff that's available. The stuff that's available to you is not available to me. If you're being offered that surgery and you're just like fed up, look, it would be a harder conversation or a more difficult decision if you didn't have anything going on in your life. But I think that when you're blessed with wonderful ideas, your writing is good, you have friends who are interested in the same sorts of creativity that you are, I kind of feel, I hope this doesn't sound pushy, I think that you have a moral obligation to take anything and everything that's available to you, whether you like it or not.
I like that you made it a moral thing. Because for me, it's definitely like...
Because your art is not about you. It's about the world that receives it. Right? Now, there's lots of fake artists out there, as far as I'm concerned. There's lots of people who take government grants. They're not really producing art. They're producing either propaganda or entertainment. You're a real artist.
Or therapy notes.
What?
A lot of them are producing therapy notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that for you and me, these decisions should really be based on, do we have a moral obligation to produce art of the highest quality for the world around us? For me, the answer is yes. Now, is our physiological or psychiatric condition getting in the way of delivering that to the world, which is the reason that we were put here by God or whatever it is that you believe in? I happen to believe in God. Yes. Therefore, there's no choice to make. The only moral option is to grab everything that's available to you.
Yeah.
And I think what makes this set of 3 questions even more interesting. Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, are we cutting the episode short?
Just telling me that my parking is going to be done in 10 minutes, so I just have to put some more.
So we are
cutting
off the episode.
No, because
I don't want you getting towed.
No, with an.
We'll wrap this up in 10 minutes, okay? Okay. So I think that it's possible that there are people out there watching this episode thinking that this is a particularly self-indulgent episode, and it really is. But I'm going to take out all the ums and ahs with AI, and I'm going to post it anyway. This is the type of conversations that people who are suffering from psychiatric disorders and unwanted
they don't get to have
weight
them.
gain. I think this is the type of conversation that needs to happen, because you know what? This conversation is not a conversation that, from the perspective of technology or what we know about the mind and the body and the way that they work, this conversation couldn't happen 5 years ago.
Absolutely not.
Even if this is a little messy and we lost our place and we bounced around, I think it's important to let people know that the questions about your physical health and your mental, it's not the same conversation anymore. It's just not. We no longer go around saying, oh, if you have a psychiatric issue, it's necessarily because you were traumatized, or it's necessarily because of genetics, or it's necessarily about an imbalance of neurotransmitters.
Yeah.
There's actually very little evidence of that last option. There's this huge intersection between psychiatry and physiology. And if you've got a lot going on with your body that don't focus on whether or not you want to. Focus on what's available so that you can get out of your own way and have a life that's good for the whole world.
You know what I would compare it to is you go back 20 years and most police departments had no connection with other police departments.
What?
Just follow me on this.
Okay.
So before there were systems that actually integrated data on criminals across the entire United States or the entirety of Canada, each little police department had its own database of who was committing crimes, but they were absolutely incapable of talking to any other police department or finding out if any other police department had seen a similar crime and could conceivably. I mean, you look at everybody loves a good serial killer story.
Absolutely.
Until like CODIS and VICAP and other systems that actually integrated police records across the entire continent.
Yes.
A serial killer could just move one town over and never have his crimes highlighted.
Therefore, never be identified.
identified. So until you have the ability for all of your different health agencies to talk to each other, until you have the ability for a naturopath that you're seeing to actually integrate their information with your psychiatrist, with your GP,
Yeah.
it's really hard to get a complete picture. We talk about the holistic approach, but holistic approaches tend to be naturopath based and eschew the kind of scientific research that's being done. So you're not getting a complete picture with a so-called holistic approach.
Have you ever heard of functional medicine?
No, but it seems is that what this is?
So there's like Gabrielle. I don't know whether it's Lyon. Is that Lion or Leon?
Lion, probably.
So she's a doctor. She's a functional medicine doctor. And functional medicine doctors, they don't always, but a lot of times they have backgrounds in sports medicine.
Okay.
Or they're doctors in a particular specialty. And
so they know they have to keep their people.
Let me just tell you what their biographies tend to be. They tend to originate in other forms of medicine, but they realize that they're addressing symptoms rather than patients.
Right.
And so I don't even know if functional medicine is recognized by any accrediting board, but functional medicine doctors operate very differently than other types of doctors. They want to know everything that's wrong with you, everything.
God. And I can just feel like weight lifted.
And rather than saying you have this disease, so take this pill, whatever they tend to only provide therapies that treat everything. So they want to know everything about you.
Right.
And they want to treat you, whether it's just them seeing you or they send you to specialists. The assumption is you have one body.
Right.
And it doesn't matter whether or not other doctors would break out your 20 symptoms into 5 different things and treat them like they have no. The assumption is that everything relates to everything, and there's no such thing as that's wonderful. Words, the idea is there
your
one
body
has nothing to do with your psychology in this world. That idea doesn't exist. What's really strange to me is, with my strange sense of common sense, like I don't understand how. I do actually know what I'm lying. I do know it's the Industrial Revolution. It's the atomization of human beings.
Right.
It's the mechanistic
It's the comparison
view.
of us to
It's turning
machines.
Everything into machines, and we can treat this and pretend it has nothing. I put all of my supplements and all of my medications into ChatGPT. And then I did it again on Grok. And it provided me with such a wonderful set of feedback. Like, well, if you're taking magnesium at this time, you're actually blocking this. So if you move it up, and it's so
that's really cool.
Yeah. So I don't know why am I bringing that up in terms.
Well, because we're talking about functional medicine.
I think that what I'm saying is that the technological singularity,
an actual holistic.
I think we probably would. Okay, here's the point. The point is that we'd probably be better off not talking about holistic medicine anymore. We'd probably be better off at this point in technology, diagnostics, artificial intelligence. We would be better off just as patients being a lot more plain about it and saying to our physicians and our care providers, I'm one person, I have one set of symptoms, and there's one course of treatment. And if that gets in the way of the way that you are comfortable practicing, which is that you're pretending when I'm in an endocrinologist's office that this is the only thing that's wrong with me.
Yeah.
And when I'm in a psychiatrist, that world doesn't exist anymore. So how do we feel about this as a closing note for the show?
I love that. Yeah, so everybody, let's talk about functional medicine and not talk about.
We don't even have to say functional medicine because that might make our physicians who aren't functional medicine doctors feel overwhelmed.
True.
Let's just all go in as patients and say, I'm one person. If I have 5 things wrong with me, you have to think about all 5 things when you prescribe something to me. And if you can't do that, I'm finding somebody else.
Beautiful. What a nice way to close it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to say before we say goodbye?
Just that I hope you're safe in the States and get back soon.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the open mic because I always love your performances. Once again, you were so good in the fortune teller. As the lead of the fortune teller, are you going to go back and tell everyone I want that recorded as a pilot?
I am going to tell them tonight when I see them.
Excellent.
Yep. And we'll call up the writer right from the dinner table.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for doing this. You're such a good friend and such a good co-host. All right, everybody. Goodbye.